What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Heads Not the Tails. I'm Brother Christopher, and this is my second attempt at live streaming. And if you ask a question, write it in the comments, and I'll answer questions for you. I want to get to know everybody, all my subscribers. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I'll be right here. And let's see, show live comments. Okay, I do have some settings here. Cool. Let's see, dream glamour. I'm just gonna be experimenting here for a second, you guys. So wait for everyone to tune in. Let's see. Camera options, chat options. Mute microphone, no. Is there anybody online with me now? Let me go on my computer here real fast. What's up, everybody? We are live. I'm Brother Christopher, and I'm just here answering questions, talking with people. And I see one person. See, one person is live so far. We'll wait for some more people to tune in, and here's how it's gonna go. You guys want to ask any questions, write them in the comments, and we'll see what's up. Let's see, show. All right. And while we're waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and read some more Bible. I don't see anybody tuning in yet, but we'll give it a minute here. Can anybody hear me? I see one person tuning in. If you can hear me, can you comment for me? And they're off. I'm just waiting for some people to tune in, everybody, and then we can begin. And if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and write them in the comments, and I'll answer any questions that we got. And wait for some more people to come on. And I'm just experimenting with live streaming here, so it's not often that I get to talk live to anybody, so I want to get to know everyone here and answer any questions that anybody has for me. I was just live streaming on the last video, and we were discussing this Time Beyond the Year 2000 magazine. Very interesting Time magazine. It's like a Illuminati Almanac, but some crazy stuff in here. I don't see anybody watching right now, so whenever you tune in, go ahead and comment so I can see who's on with me. I see one person watching right now, but that's all right. If I can reach one person, that'll work for me. You know what I mean? It'll work for Jesus. Let me see. Show live comments. Is there any comments from anybody? Nope. Let me see if I can see on my computer here. Oh, live chat right here. Can I see that? All right, so we're just experimenting and hanging out and seeing if we get anybody else to tune in here with us. And I tell you what, this Time magazine here is crazy. And I'm gonna turn the camera around so I can show you some stuff here. This is from 1992. The Century Ahead is what this whole magazine is about, the year 2000 and beyond. Seeking a godlike power. Genetic science promises to deliver the blueprint for human life. See, they've been working on this stuff for a while. These mad scientists, these Scientologists, should I say? Staring at the walls of doctors' offices while awaiting their turn, 21st century Americans may see a colorful chart hanging next to the traditional diplomas and the renderings of skeletal parts and organs. It will depict the 23 pairs of human chromosomes and pinpoint on each one the location of genes that can predispose people to serious disease. By then, scientists involved in the $3 billion Human Genome Project will have isolated and identified most or all of the more than 100,000 genes crammed into the human genome. The strand of DNA in the nucleus of each of the body's 100 trillion cells, with the exception of red blood cells, which have no nuclei, and scientists will have sequenced or placed in order 3 billion chemical code letters in that strand, giving them the ability to read nature's complete blueprint for creating a human being. As the project nears completion in the first decade of the century. Oh, it just passed the first decade. We're going to get ready to go into the second decade of the new millennium here. Knowledge flowing from it will begin to have a major impact on medicine and other sciences, industry, agriculture, law, and the environment. The stage will be set for an age of genetics that could rival the Industrial Revolution in its impact on society. In 15 or 20 years, predicts biologist Leroy Hood of the California Institute of Technology, doctors will be able to take a blood sample from a newborn infant, extract DNA from the blood, and insert it into a machine that will analyze 100 or so genes. That will give us DNA fingerprints of genes that predispose us to common kinds of diseases. Hood says, Hood says, based on the genetic profile, a computer was some type of medical advice. It might say, this individual has a tendency towards skin cancer and should avoid exposure to the sun, or he has insufficient LDL cholesterol receptors and a proclivity to obesity, so he should begin a high-fiber, low-fat diet at age 3, explains Mark Skolnick, a geneticist at the University of Utah. Once you can make a profile of a person's genetic predisposition to disease, medicine will finally become largely predictive and preventative. With the profusion of such profiles will come a demand for and law enforcing genetic privacy to ensure that those with potentially crippling or lethal genes are not discriminated against by employers or insurers. Man, they already got the cures for all types of diseases, and it's a money thing, and it's the devil behind all this. They got cures for all this stuff, and I think the main cure is Jesus in everything. Jesus is the doctor, he's the healer. So, if we just knew how to focus our energy, our healing energy on God healing us, we wouldn't even need doctors anymore, you know what I mean? Other contentious issues will arise. Doctors will be able to detect many serious genetic diseases at the fetal stage, which will lead some parents to opt for abortion. But there will also be preventative measures for people who want to avoid passing their defective genes on to their children. When one parent carries the deadly and dominant gene for Huntington's chorea, for example, there is a 50% chance that any offspring will have it too. Let's see here. To reduce those odds to zero, doctors of the future will extract several eggs from the prospective mother and fertilize them in a test tube with her husband's sperm. When the fertilized eggs have grown to 32 or 64 cell stage, the doctors will flick off a few cells from each and analyze their DNA. When they find an egg carrying a gene without the fetal defect, they will implant it in the uterus and allow the fetus to grow to term, free from the threat of Huntington's disease. For those who do inherit a deadly gene or two, research will provide drugs to alleviate the symptoms. The active ingredient in these drugs will be protein mass-produced by bacteria or by plants. In each case, healthy versions of the genes that have gone awry in humans will be inserted into the DNA of the producer. In the next several decades, the drug treatment will be implemented or replaced by genetic engineering. Doctors will insert good genes into patients' DNA, where they will take over the function of defective ones and actually cure the disorder. The gene then codes for the production of the missing protein, explains University of Michigan geneticist Francis Collins, and the protein is the drug. What you're delivering is the instructions instead of the product. Meanwhile, as public fears about genetic engineering fade, agriculture scientists will be producing new and revolutionary plants. GMOs, right? They have already inserted a variety of plant, animal, and human genes into a potato and tobacco plants, transporting the genes to their target. In a bit of DNA from bacterium that naturally infects plant cells. These hybrid plants now produce small quantities of natural polymers and chemicals for industrial purposes, proteins for medical use, and enzymes for food processing. In the next few decades, they will become factories of mass production. There is now, see, this magazine is from 1992, and they're talking about the future here, but check this out. The next century will bring hundreds of genetically engineered foods, disease-resistant fruits and vegetables with longer shelf life, starchier potatoes, beans with more protein. We will come up with new varieties of low-fat, high-fibered foods that taste good and that people really want to eat, says Charles Cantor, principal scientist for the Energy Department's branch of Genome Project. Speaking of the Energy Department, I got a video coming up I'm going to show you guys that I'm in the middle of making. It's where the Department of Energy has its own little FEMA concentration camp style prison. You know, I'll make that video and upload it as soon as I can. Let's see. Plant genetics will also help the environment. Scientists envision placing genetically engineered plants on either side of expressways to extract lead or nitrous oxides from the air. Plants designed to absorb more carbon dioxide could help stem the advance of the greenhouse effect. All told, genetic technology will give humankind an almost godlike power to improve its condition. Lord, you see, these scientists have always been sick. You know what I'm saying? This is a Time magazine from 1992, you guys. We got some more people to join us here. 1992 Time magazine, beyond the year 2000. What to expect in the new millennium. And this is what it's entitled here. Seeking a godlike power, genetic science promises to deliver the blueprint for human life. Yeah, they're sick, y'all, you know. They were already plotting on GMOs back in 1992. They were talking about it. So that's pretty far from godlike. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's very far from godlike, for sure. And let's see. All told, genetic technology will give humankind an almost godlike power to improve its condition. It will be one of society's major tasks in the 21st century to develop a moral and ethical code to match and help control this awesome ability. Yeah, this straight Illuminati Almanac right here. Look, there goes your butterflies. I don't know if you guys ever seen the videos of Illuminati symbolism, but butterflies is real satanic. But look at these pictures of the earth. This is all like ideas of what the year 2000 and beyond would bring. Look at that pyramid. Oh yeah, we know what that's all about, right? We got that now. What is this picture here? Try to focus it in for you guys so you can see it. Let me see here. I'm sorry about that, y'all. This just won't focus for me. Let me try to get some more lighting in here. I need a new phone or a new camera. I need a movie camera is what I need. Let me see. Focus, Danielson, focus. Tomorrow's lesson, learn or perish, right? Let me see if I could get in there on that. What is that? Little diaphragm of a hand opening or twisting or something. Let me see if I could see it with my own eyes. Hey, sis. Glad you joined. The Chaos Candle. How you doing, brother? All right, let's read this here. Tomorrow's lesson, learn or perish. And for those who are just joining, we're in time, fall of 1992 issue, Beyond the Year 2000. What to expect in the new millennium. Hey, Nubia. Glad you made it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read tomorrow's lesson. Computers will act as tutors. Teachers will be well-paid heroes. And doing your homework will be a matter of survival. Well, we all pretty much know that, you know, our kids and anybody who has kids right now at this time, they're dealing with all this high technology stuff right now. So I think I'm going to skip this chapter because I want to get into a chapter that's going to blow your minds, especially those of you who believe that they're cloning people and stuff. There's an article in here that it's like a lady's blowing the whistle on cloning, and she even gives a geographical location and everything. Look, The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke. They call him Sir Arthur C. Clarke. Well respected in the scientific community. Oh, your kids have a virtual classroom, huh? That's crazy. Felt a wave of sadness sweep over him as the final image from his lost past dissolved into a simmering mist of white noise. Ooh, white noise. Let's see here. Where's my article at? I think I passed it. Oh yeah, here it goes. Now check this out, you guys. The dating game. The century ahead. Love and marriage will be dangerous sports, a humorist predicts. See now, this lady, I believe it's a lady, it could be a guy, but by Merrill Markoe, right? They call himself a humorist. So this is supposed to be a humorous little skit about the future and what the dating game would be like. So I'm going to go ahead and read this out to you here. Let me see. The next century will be a time of many informational breakthroughs. Most notably, the battle between the sexes will take on a new complexion because it will be scientifically documented that men and women are completely different species of animals. Not unlike, say, hyenas and pumas, although there will be a lot of heated arguments about who gets to be the pumas, right? Once everyone accepts that we're speaking different languages, a computer system will be developed that allows instantaneous intersexual communication to occur. For the first time, certain simple but formally bewildering transactions will become clear. At the end of an evening out, when the single man of the future says to his date, "I had a nice time, I'll call you," I predict that men will still be using this line. The woman to whom he is speaking will immediately hear in her headset what he means is that while he thinks you are attractive, he's concerned that you already have expectations of him that he will never be able to meet. He's associating you with his needy, castrating mother because she had the same hair color as yours. You see what it's saying here? It's saying that there's going to be like a Bluetooth in your ear that'll tell you all about a person once you meet them. These wild imaginations and stuff of people back in the 90s is crazy. Look, by this time, sex and dating will be so dangerous, owing to the numerous rampant communicable diseases and personality disorders, that they will be attempted only by the kind of thrill seekers who now do the things like bungee jumping, sky surfing, and eating at Denny's. By the year 2020, in fact, casual dating will be a popular arena sport. People too terrified to pursue something so hazardous themselves will witness actual live human beings who, for big money stakes, will eat dinner with, and then perhaps, if dinner goes well, become intimate with people they are attracted to, but basically know nothing about. Because the average person will be far too cautious to risk even a single totally worthless encounter, we will see the transformation of the medical clinic into a kind of after-hours meeting place where nervous but lonely people will be able to undergo a battery of health tests, and while awaiting the results, stop by the bar to enjoy a trendy snack with others who may have the same ailment. I predict that honey-roasted songbirds will be the snack of choice by then, because they will turn out to be the last remaining edible creature that is domestically plentiful, low in fat, and still has not been made into a trendy snack item. All of this escalating terror will oddly increase the number of marriages taking place, even though we will see the divorce rate rise from 1 in 2 marriages to 2 in 2 marriages. These alarming statistics will cause the birth of a new nuptial tradition. Savvy couples will create the most intimate bond 2 people can share by agreeing to get married and divorced simultaneously. At that point, they will possess so much file data about each other that they will negotiate in advance the terms of every day they plan to spend together, deciding what annoying habits they are willing to tolerate and, more important, what personal details each one will permit the other to use, either in court or in the eventual tell-all book. "Look at me cross-eyed" could emerge as the most common charge of misconduct in the personal nuisance suits that will clog the legal system. Hey, that's what's going on right now. There's, with all the LGBT stuff going on, and they're creating all these categories for people, so if one person feels like another, if they felt like they were double crossed or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that they can sue. And that's what's going on. Our legal system is getting clogged right now with all these sexual discrimination lawsuits and stuff, you know. So check this out. This is what I wanted to get to right here, because it's like she's telling the truth here. Watch. Playing into that will be the amount of specific evidence people will have accumulated about each other as compulsive video documentation. This is all about, this article has everything to do with the reality television that took over TV, right? Reality shows. And starting from the 90s on, you know, check it out. Playing right into that will be the amount of specific evidence people will have accumulated about each other as compulsive video documentation becomes the most common new addiction. By the year 2010, TV networks will decide to give all video equipment owners a shot at their own show as long as they promise to supply footage that is extremely disturbing. Recorded evidence of violence and malicious mayhem will draw such astronomical sums that criminals contemplating an illegal activity will consult with movie developers during the important planning stages of the crime. Now check this out. Let me stop right there real fast. Who did Jared Kushner just hire in the White House? Do you guys know who I'm talking about? He hired a movie director that did the Purge. Yeah, Jared Kushner hired some movie director that did the movie The Purge and a bunch of other movies. And just think about it. The whole Las Vegas thing. Jared Kushner hires some movie guy. Then the next breaking news you see is Las Vegas mass shooting, you know, biggest one in U.S. history. You know what I mean? Meryl Marco is telling us back in 1992 what's going to happen with what's going on TV and everything. So, I mean, look at this. It says, recorded evidence of violence and malicious mayhem will draw such astronomical sums that criminals contemplating an illegal activity will consult with movie developers during the important planning stages of the crime. They will thus make sure that the approach they are taking with regard to plot and details is the one that will have the best eventual effect on sales figures and marketing potential. Crazy, huh? I just saw the comment. Let's see. Lush freaks me out. I get bad vibes from just looking at his pictures. Straight up. Are we back on? I got disconnected there for a second, everybody. All right. Now that wasn't the most important part that I wanted to get to there. And if you guys could hear me, let me know real fast. Let me see. Show live chat. Okay. Now check this out. This is the part that I wanted to get to. All right, I see you, sis. Got you back in. Let's see here. Compulsive video documentation. Okay. Marketing potential. This blurring of the line between life and entertainment will culminate in a scandal when a giant underground facility is discovered in the Midwest. What's in the Midwest? Is Colorado in the Midwest? Like Denver Airport? You know? This blurring of the line between life and entertainment will culminate in a scandal when a giant underground facility is discovered in the Midwest that is being used as a breeding lab by desperate talk show producers who have been completely out of new guests since the mid-1990s. It will be discovered that the producers have been assembling affable humanoids from the fat, tissue, bone, and spare parts of celebrities who have undergone a lot of plastic surgery, training the guest to cultivate zany or inappropriate hobbies and schooling them in how to tell 10 different 15-minute anecdotes about themselves. This will constitute their entire lifespan, after which they will be melted down and reworked for an additional booking. Yes, it's going to be a bold new world, full of brand new dysfunctions, addictions, and disorders. A million new things to worry about, but that's progress. Right? Ain't that crazy, y'all? They just told us exactly what's going on with the reality TV show stuff going on, with the Nicki Minaj clones, and you know what I mean? All these celebrity clones that everybody's seeing that, you know, some people might say they're reptilians. This person's saying that they're affable humanoids that were made from fat and tissue and bones of celebrities who have undergone plastic surgery. Just think about how many people are doing plastic surgery, and all that human flesh that they pull out of people's bodies and stuff. They probably are making people out of that stuff, you know what I mean? So I just thought that was a very interesting article right there to share with you. So if you guys missed it, if you're just now joining the live stream, go ahead and when we're finished, you can watch this all over again, or you might be able to rewind it while I'm live, so you could get caught up. But this magazine is just crazy, y'all. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Why you don't look a day over 100. Extended lifespan and end the heart disease. A vaccine for AIDS, all on the way. A scenario for healthcare in the next 100 years. Yeah, right. They got the cures for everything. They don't want to give it to us, you know what I mean? Tomorrow's lesson. Learn or perish. That's what I went over in the last video. Look, more butterflies. Let's see what kind of symbolism we could find. That monarch butterfly, it's a real big satanic Illuminati thing. And look at those eyes. Those are supposed to be also the dots on the monarch. But if you look at it close, it's those owl eyes, you know what I'm saying? That Illuminati owl staring at you. Formula for a revolution. The formal rigidity of education will break down to be replaced by lessons tailored to the individual student. God made the cures for everything. We have fruits and plants to cure cancer and AIDS. We sure do, sis. You know, God gave us everything to be healed with. You know, if the elite, they want to, even Ebola. The elite, They're going to withhold all that from everybody because they want people to die. You know, they want to depopularize the earth so they could just have all the good stuff for themselves. Look at this one right here. I wanted to also go over this one with you. Kingdoms to come. Check this out. Faith will thrive, but what shape will religions take? A look at 2092. They said a look at 2092, but I think this is more like maybe 2025. Check out what it says here. As the year 2092 dawns, Catholicism remains the largest component within Christianity. The world's biggest and most widespread faith. In the preceding century, the papacy has been making the multicultural rounds. All right? Now, it's funny when they talk about this pope here, because, you know, the pope that's on the throne now, should I say, I don't know, in office, I don't know what the throne is, in the Vatican. You know, the pope that's in the Vatican now, Pope Francis, you know, it sounds like he's talking about him too. But the papacy has been making the multicultural rounds, going everywhere, right? A safe Italian followed the sharp-edged pole, John Paul II. But then came South American, African, and Asian popes. So just to get you caught up if you missed, we're talking about the year 2000 Time magazine from 1992. And it's basically everyone's thoughts of the year beyond 2000 back in 1992. These were their thoughts. So this person wrote that this article here, kingdoms to come, faith will thrive, but what shape will religions take? A look at 2092. All right, so we go back down here. But then came South American, African, and Asian popes. One African American nearly made it. Finally, the Italians reinstituted their monopoly over the throne of Peter. The incumbent Italian Pope Pius XIV, I think that's what, 15 or 13, is slowly reacquiring some of the art masterpieces sold off to cover the Vatican debts. At the formal level, nothing much came of the moral rearrangements that some of the Catholics used to advocate back in the late 20th century, such as the right to divorce, tolerance for gay sex, and above all, birth control. Rome's insistence on adhering to church tradition has required the hierarchy to hold the line, but in practice, most local priests wink at widespread violations of these tenets. Parishes have become considerably more democratic, and lay people, most of them women, perform most tasks, including administration of everything but the sacraments, right? Talk about the women preachers in the future. Let's see here. The ban on women priests, however, remains in force. Priests and bishops are still appointed from on high, but one major organizational change has been in place for decades. Many married men serve as Catholic priests to ease the clergy shortage. Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, with their emphasis on ritual, are well suited to a world in which few people bother to read. Theology is a dying art. School children are ignorant of the Bible and hence bereft of their spiritual heritage. Post-literate era has been especially difficult for Protestantism, which depended so heavily upon rationalism in reading. Although old-style Protestants are shrinking in numbers, they retain outsized influence because so many of them remain book readers and are thus inevitably leaders of the economic ruling class on all continents. The papacy is ecumenically friendly and has helped establish an innocuous organization, the World Christian Conference. But decades ago, Rome's intransience about its powers killed off hopes for a grand reunion with Eastern Orthodoxy. Nor do the Protestants show much interest in mergers. Unruliness characterizes the evangelicals. Charismatics and independent African churches. The Protestant liberals only vaguely Christian any longer. The Protestant liberals, only vaguely Christian any longer, harbor anger about Rome's decisive moves in the 2040s to restrict Bible criticism and halt efforts to blur the lines between Christianity and other religions. See, they predicted in 2040, but this stuff is all happening like right now, 2020. You see the vision? Yet, cooperative activity thrives in other ways. Virtually all Christians have united in a cultural movement to eradicate the last vestiges of anti-Jewish sentiment. But less concord is evidence with Islam, the world's second-ranking religion. The prophet's faith, while huge, is circumscribed in its cultural impact because its brightest youths are totally secularized in outlook. Even though they maintain the outward forms of devotion, the many Islamic revival regimes have failed to manage their economies or to foster political democracy. Leaders allow almost no free intellectual discussion in religion or in anything else. Woo! Women are not encouraged to contribute anything to Islamic thought. A few scattered intellectuals are again starting to question this whole stultifying state of affairs. No important sect or cult has been born for decades. The colorful creeds from olden times are tiny or extinct. Among them, Baha'i, One Faith, Christian Science, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Hemlockite death cult, the Hemlockites. Might want to do some investigating on that. Of the assorted new revelations that were announced toward the end of the second millennium, only Mormonism maintains global reach, but it remains relatively small. On the other hand, the ancient forms of Hinduism and Buddhism, once considered near cults in the U.S., have become sizable and respectable there. The affluent classes of developed countries have rejected high-demand sects and cults in favor of no-demand faiths. Groups loosely lumped together as the World Soul Movement originated with the synthetic pantheist neo-pagan, nature love, and New Age groups that were the rage early in the 21st century. The triumph of feminist religion caused many Christians and Jews to shun references to God in personal terms. No more Lord or Heavenly Father. This in turn strengthened the groups that worship a mysterious nature force or seek to deify the self. Today's variegated religious revival is partly the result of a need for effectual moral commitment to protecting the environment. It's amazing now that there was a time when science was supposedly the enemy of faith, and religion was deemed hostile to technological investigation. The end of atheism and agnosticism became inevitable as soon as computer calculations made improbable the odds that random natural selection could be the sole explanation for the ever-increasing intricacies found in biology. Equally influential was the discovery of the multiple universes, which astronomers found at the macrocosmic level and physicists detected in the microcosmic. Science thus established the current age of faith, recreating the Creator. Nowadays, only the fool says in his heart, there is no God. Straight up though, only the fool says that nowadays. The question now becomes, which God? The amorphous soul of fashionable cults, the antiseptic first principle of science, or the personal God who still inspires awe and commands commitment? Wow. That's a pretty deep article there to come out of 1992, y'all. You know what I mean? All right. Going back to me, and we'll take some questions or anything. Let's see here. You still there, Nubia? Let's see. I wonder why I can't see my comments once I end the video. I'll go back on to my channel and look, and I don't see any comments except for like the new comments that people place. You know, but it's crazy. You know, all the stuff that's happening now was already envisioned back then. I want to show you one more thing here. This is the picture that goes along with this. Kingdoms to come. Look at this picture here. Look what it says under it. Well, let me see if we can focus in here. Focus, come on. So you were 12 back then, huh? Look at this. Video bliss. Buddhists in Japan meditate on TV images of happiness. So by the year 2092, they think that these Buddhists will be worshiping images off of a television. You know, they're already doing that now. You know what I'm saying? It's becoming a virtual world, and you know, they're trying to merge science with religion, and you know, it's just crazy. The world's just, people are crazy. But we all know who it is. It's the devil. Look at this here. Too many people, the century ahead. Look what this says here. It says, let me see here. If the environment is already threatened by overpopulation, what would the world be like with twice as many inhabitants? You wouldn't want to be there. See that all about depopulation and stuff. Oh yeah, I would too, Nubia. You know, the stuff that's going on in public schools now is ridiculous. Bet you that has to do with some Nephilim stuff, you know. There's some something else I really wanted to show you on here. Multi-vendor networks. Look, the wolf and the lamb together. There's the lion too, but the wolf, the lamb, and the lion. And there's some grimy looking wolves up here in the darkness. There's your ball, cow. Getting all the beasts to behave takes real expertise. This is just an IBM commercial too. Don't they look weird? Their eyes and stuff. Just a really cultic style picture there. And this whole book is just all types of cult stuff. I see the globe. Mechanical earth like thing. Look at that one. Look, coming out of Africa again, or is that South America? Beyond your wildest dreams, TV will dazzle us with choices. But will we be happy in our cocoons? I don't know. Let's see what it says here. Here I am, an educated person and a writer, and I watch every channel, all 75 of them, simultaneously. If it frightens you to think of how much TV has affected our cultural habits in just a few decades, then get ready for another zap to your system. In the future, what we know as TV will have been transmogrified from a box in the corner into a ambiguous, what did it say? Wall-to-wall bath of infotainment. And the array of program choices, already so bewildering, will multiply almost to infinity. But that is the predictable part. The most tantalizing and scary prospect is what this electronic deluge will do to us. Will we become zombie consumers of Lethal Weapon 17? Will we? Or connoisseurs of Greek drama on channel 894? Will our voracious image consumption erode ability to read and speak, or will TV teach us new languages? Will we be happy in our comfy video cocoons, or yearn to escape from that cell and get our shoes muddy at an outdoor concert? Nope, everybody wants to sit in front of their TVs nowadays, you know? Two coming developments will take the video revolution to a new realm. Fiber optic cable will bring hundreds, even thousands of channels into the home. They already got it, folks. And interactive computer technology will give formerly passive viewers almost a total control over what they see. They already do, folks. when they see it and what they do with it. People will be able to call up on their screen virtually everything the culture produces, from the latest Hollywood movie to lessons in chess, from an old episode of The Twilight Zone to this morning's newspaper, custom edited for individual readers. They're already doing that, you know. Our previews, our little ads and stuff that we see are all based on what we like, you know. So the array of choices will be so rich that TV may finally break out of the current malaise described by Bruce Springsteen in 57 channels and nothing on. In his book, Life After Television, George Gilder predicts that the merging of TV and computers will bring the demise of network mediocrity. Big events, the Super Bowl or the election debates, or the most compelling mass programs will still command their audiences, he writes. But all the media junk food and filler will tend to disappear. People will order what they want rather than settling for what is there. Society will pay a price for that. As the mass audience disperses, there will be fewer cultural reference points, less common ground. We have nothing to share now, laments Vonnegut. There are thousands of things that a person sitting at home can see that nobody else is seeing. We have become lonelier because we no longer have a few central works of art to discuss. Straight up. Lonelier and less literate. Books will almost certainly become a more elitist and rarefied art form. The common currency of pop culture and public discourse will be the quick-cut, in-your-face style of TV sitcoms and music videos. The visual image will be familiar, more communicative to people. But at the same time, there will be a general humiliation of language, says Neil Postman, chairman of New York University Communications Department. Our connection with the real world may grow ever more tenuous as images increasingly supplant words and symbolic gestures overwhelm rational argument. The portent is ominous. How can an electorate conditioned by MTV ever have the patience to solve budget deficit? Now, don't that sound like it's talking about Donald Trump right here? The portent is ominous. How can an electorate, hold on one second. How can an electorate conditioned by MTV ever have the patience to solve budget deficit? Like how they say Trump stays on Twitter and stuff. He probably watches YouTube too. And, oh, I see what you said, Nubia. Okay. So let's see here. Couch potatoes. The couch potato of the future, whose every entertainment wish will be granted at the touch of a button, may have trouble interacting. Sorry about that, I'm getting phone calls here. Come on, fade away. Let's see here, 1 second. Oh yeah. Interacting with one another in the real world. One hypothesis, people will become more self-centered, less attuned to their neighbors and society. Bridging the gap between cultures and races could become more difficult. civility will suffer too, because most public events and entertainment will be experienced privately. People will lose a sense of how to behave in public. They already are, you know. People watch so much TV, they think it's normal behavior to act like that, especially, you know, with hip hop and rap and with Nicki Minaj, the way she just, you know, she condones plastic surgery. She tries to look like a Barbie doll, you know what I'm saying? And it just, people see that and they think that's normal, but you know, it's desensitizing. Exactly, Nubia. Now, where was I at here? Oh yeah, because most public events and entertainment will be experienced privately, people will lose a sense of how to behave in public, says Postman. Even on the screen in movie theaters, they already have to tell people not to talk, right? Yet, the reassuring aspect of culture is that every stifling trend seems to produce a refreshing, subversive counter trend. At least a few people will grow tired of living like pampered moles and will want to go out to see a play or a concert. If you spend the day watching your computer, you're not going to watch your television at night, contends Philip Glass, the avant-garde composer. You'd rather go to the park and watch someone dancing. Live drama, predicts critic and iconoclastic director Robert Brustein, will become what Jean Genet called the theater of catacombs. It will find small enclaves with the remainder of the faithful, like Christianity in the early days. Wow. What will transform the content of the culture most of all is the artistic world's great, imponderable, individual genius. A prognosticator in the year 1500 would have had no way of knowing that Shakespeare was just around the corner. Now, let me read that again. What will transform the content of culture most of all is the artistic world's great, imponderable, individual genius. A prognosticator in the year 1500 would have had no way of knowing that Shakespeare was just around the corner. A music seer in 1950 could not have guessed that Elvis Presley was warming up off stage. The next artistic revolutionary may already be waiting in the wings, ready to revitalize a tired art form or set the cultural world on a new course. And when the next big thing hits, one question will hang most urgently in the air. What channel is it on? Right? Straight up. That's a crazy article. Is progress obsolete? A noted historian argues that the dream has become far too exclusive. Yeah. It's almost impossible to reach the American dream the way they're doing things. What is this? Some more IBM stuff, huh? I want to see where they're marking. What are they marking here? They're saying IBM computers is gonna... Let's see what it says. What you need today is an international business machine. Oh yeah, I see. The mark of the beast system is what they mean. I'm changing the page. Hey, this is a trip. Here, check this out. The century ahead. Great goals. What should humankind aim to accomplish in the coming decades? Let's hear from Barbara Jordan, a lawyer educator. We need to restore a sense of common good in America. Tolerance must become an idea that is honored and respected, particularly towards nations that are different from us. But hunger should not be tolerated. It's a moral principle that should be able to eat a meal when they want to. The sight of hunger any place on the globe should be banished. Look, so they got like Luke Perry. They got Camille Paglia, Sharon Stone, Garcia Marquez. Hold on. I'm getting there. Hold on one second. I got something I want to show you guys. Where are you at? Oh, there you go. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, comedian, producer. The main goal of the future is to stop violence. The world is addicted to it. It happens. It becomes war, and then we spend human bodies, money, and intellect to stop it. Straight up. Who else they got in here? Sinead O'Connor, Pat Robertson, Mike Myers. Let's see what he said back when he was doing Wayne's World. Be nice. Tend to have fun rather than not to have fun. Have gainful employment. A really cool girlfriend. Great tunes and a good pickup game of hockey twice a week. Yeah, so let's go on a little further here. The next 1,000 years. Is anybody out there? After a false dawn in the 20th century, this new space age could bring everything from Mars colonies to galactic voyages. I'm going to get into that on another video. The frontier within. By plumbing the deep secrets of the human mind, scientists will open the way to cures, wonders, and voyeurism. A PET scan shows how different bodily and emotional functions are handled by distinct regions of the human brain. Interesting. Computers will emulate the brain, but not replace it. The deaf ear will hear, the blind see, the lame walk. They're trying to say it through their new scientific medical technology, they'll be able to do anything. There's another interesting one here. The next 1,000 years. The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke. It's not that long. Let me read this out to you here. This is an interesting article. Okay. It came in vertically punching a tent. This is a story Arthur C. Clarke had wrote about a great asteroid that destroys the Earth. So check this out. It came in vertically, punching a hole 10 kilometers wide through the atmosphere, generating temperatures so high that the air itself started to burn. When it hit the ground near the Gulf of Mexico, rock turned to liquid and spread outward in the mountainous waves, not freezing until it had formed a crater 200 kilometers across. That was only the beginning of the disaster. Now the real tragedy began. Nitric oxides rained from the air, turning the sea to acid. Clouds of soot from incinerated forest darkened the sky. hiding the sun for months. Worldwide, the temperature dropped precipitously, killing off most of the plants and animals that had survived the initial cataclysm. Though some species would linger on for millenniums, the reign of the great reptiles was finally over. The clock of evolution had been reset. The countdown to man has begun. The date was very approximately 65 million BC. Captain Robert Singh, or Singh, I think it's Singh. Captain Robert Singh never tired of walking in the forest with his little son Toby. It was, of course, a tamed and gentle forest, guaranteed to be free of dangerous animals, but it made an exciting contrast to the rolling sand dunes of their last environment in the Saudi Desert, and the one before that on Australia's Great Barrier Reef. But when the Skylift service had moved the house this time, the Skylift service, right? Arthur C. Clarke is a futurist novel writer, and I believe he's still alive. There was an article saying that he had died some years ago, but he even came on with his own videos talking about, hey, I'm right here. This is pretty interesting. So Arthur C. Clarke wrote this, and it says, but when the Skylift service had moved the house this time, something had gone wrong with the food recycling system. Ew, food recycling system. Though the electronic menus had fail-safe backups, there had been a curious metallic taste to some of the items coming out of the synthesizer recently. What's that, Daddy? Asked the 4-year-old, pointing to a small hairy face peering at them through a screen of leaves. Some kind of monkey. We'll ask the brain when we get home. Can I play with it? I don't think it's a good idea. It could bite, and it probably has fleas. Your robo-toys are much nicer. But Captain Singh knew what would happen next. He had run this sequence a dozen times. Toby would begin to cry. The monkey would disappear. He would comfort the child as he carried him back to the house. But that had been 20 years ago and 250 million kilometers away. The playback came to an end. Sound, vision, the scent of unknown flowers, and the gentle touch of the wind slowly faded. Suddenly, he was back in this cabin aboard the orbital tug Goliath. Well, see how I used the Goliath as the name of this spaceship? Commanding the 100-person team of Operation Atlas, the most critical mission in the history of space exploration. Toby and the stepmothers, and stepfathers of his extended family remained behind on a distant world which Singh could never revisit. Decades in space and neglect of the mandatory zero-gravity exercises had so weakened him that he could now walk only on the moon and Mars. Gravity had exiled him from the planet of his birth. 1 hour to rendezvous, Captain, said the quiet but insistent voice of David, as Goliath's central computer had been inevitably named. Active mode as requested. Time to come back to the real world. Goliath's human commander felt a wave of sadness sweep over him as the final image from his lost past dissolved into a featureless, simmering mist of white noise. Too swift a transition from one reality to another was a good recipe for schizophrenia, and the Captain Sing always eased the shock with the most soothing sound he knew, waves falling gently on a beach, with seagulls crying in the distance. It was yet another memory of a life he had lost, and of a peaceful past that had now been replaced by a fearful present. For a few moments, he delayed facing his awesome responsibility. Then he sighed and removed the neural input cap that fitted snugly over his skull and had enabled him to call up his distant past. Like all spacers, Captain Sing belonged to the bald I didn't know it went on here. Oh, this is a long story. My bad. I thought it was just a little story, but I ain't going to finish reading all this. Beautiful school, if only because wigs were a nuisance in zero gravity. The social historians were still staggered by the fact that one invention, the portable brain man, could make bare heads the norm with a single decade. Not even quick change skin coloring. Quick change skin coloring. Or lens corrective lasers, shaping which had abolished eyeglasses, had made such an impact upon style and fashion. Captain said, "David, I know you're there, or do you want me to take over?" Wow, that's just crazy and stuff. You know, Arthur C. Clarke is a trip. But telling y'all, this magazine, yeah, it's nuts. It talks, look, this is the ship that he's supposed to be on, David 4. Let's see here. And that's just the beginning, you know what I'm saying? There's so much weird stuff in this one magazine, it's crazy. It's gonna probably take a couple videos to cover it. But you guys are awesome, and thanks for hanging in there with me. Let me turn this thing around. All right. So, oh, hey, loving kindness. Hey, Renee, how you doing? I didn't see you dropped in on me there. All right. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Always awesome. But, you know, if you guys have any ideas that I can do for live streaming, you know, if there's any studies you want me to go over, if you want my opinion on any biblical topic, you know, you guys just leave a comment or we'll come up with a live stream. Oh, I gotta take this call here. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this session. God bless each and every one of you out there. Remember, you're the heads, not the tails. If God can use me, he can use you too. Amen.